So good morning, welcome to the Monday Motivation Show. I've got two very special guests with me this week, and we're talking about being at the Olympics. So what it's like being at the Games, the racing, standing on the podium, the whole thing, everything from getting the call up all the way through to the opening and then the closing ceremony. So if I'm going to go around the grid and you can introduce yourselves and tell us who you are, where you're at the moment, what you're up to. So we can start with Sas.
Hello, I'm Saskia Clark. I am a three-time Olympian in the 470, Beijing, London and Rio. Sixth in Beijing, second and first. And I'm currently enjoying my lockdown in pool and doing lots of exercise and not much else, to be honest.
Thank you very much. And Stu.
Yeah, I'm Stuart Bithell. Not quite as CV as Saskia, but I did go to the London Olympics. Only, not Rio, and we came home with a silver medal as Sas, so partners in crime, you could say.
Cracking. And whereabouts you hold up at the moment?
Yeah, I'm actually in. I usually live in Poole, but just before lockdown, we moved to Corfe Castle. A friend's house became available, which was a holiday home. But obviously no holidays going down at the minute. So yeah, we got very lucky and we got a very, very nice house.
You're West Dorset, not East Dorset.
Yeah.
On the west side now.
West Dorset-ish.
The other side. Yeah. Cool. Right. So yeah, going to the Games. I think we talked to loads of BST athletes and some have been to the Games and some haven't. But I think we're really keen to find out about what going to the Games is like, really. So I think the first bit is, obviously you're both in the British sailing team, and then you suddenly find out you go through the selection process, all that sort of stuff, and you find out you're in Team GB, which is different. How does that process happen? Do you get a magic phone call, or is it a carrier pigeon, or do you get an owl like in Hogwarts? Like what's the process? How do you find out?
That would actually be really good. We should look at trying to get the owl for sure. You know that discussions are happening in the background because the selection process, and you've had the events or several events maybe, so you know that people are having meetings in rooms, and so you sort of have a date or a week in your mind where you might be getting that phone call either to go or maybe trials are extended or maybe not to go. So you kind of all of you have, all sort of 10 of you or 12 of you, how many classes are being selected that time, are all kind of busy ringing around each other saying, have you had a phone call yet? Have you had a phone call yet? And some people have had one and are sort of sworn to secrecy about anything. And basically as the day goes on, more and more of you find out if you're selected, or maybe your trials are carrying on, or maybe unfortunately you haven't been selected. So it's kind of I guess you're a really close bunch of sailors into that sort of selection year, and gradually throughout the day some of you are on these amazing highs of being selected, and some of you have some crushing blows that it's not your year this year. That's quite an interesting, like when we're all living down in Weymouth, for example, in London, it was all quite an emotional thing for all of us to sort of piece together.
And could you tell anyone when you found out or not?
You're all sworn to secrecy, but it's like, I guess amongst the people living in Weymouth, it is one of the worst kept secrets. And you're all sworn to secrecy until that magic BOA day where you all go and meet with the BOA and officially get your letter from the BOA, from the chef de mission at the BOA. And that's a pretty special day, and that's when it all comes out public in the press. But I guess in lots of cases there's sometimes there's national rankers or something coming up, and obviously people aren't interested in doing a national ranker if they're not selected. They're going to university or going to do other things. So a few things sort of come out that let the secret out if you're watching closely.
Yeah, a few facial expressions. I got a funny story. My selection was so funny for London. So our trials went on quite late, not quite late, but past the test event, which is the first point of selection that time. So we did a World Championships in Australia, which was a big event for us, and we managed to get a medal there and beat some of our really tough competition. And we got invited, me and Luke Patience, we got invited into the manager's room, Sparky's room, and there they were, all the Olympic selection committee. sat us down and go, lads, we're going to, this is not definite selection, but we're going to put you forward to the BOA, which is then the final part of being selected. So go home. It's looking good for you, but don't, it's not for sure. So then we go home, we have Christmas at home, and after Christmas we were carrying on with our program, and I actually went out to Austria to do a cross-country fitness camp with the team. And halfway through that week, just as you're about to started to get really tired, I got a phone call from Sparky, who was like, yeah, it's official, you're definitely getting selected, you need to be in London tomorrow. So I was like, brilliant, that's exciting, rang Luke, here we go, Luke, here we go, kid. He actually said, don't tell anyone. Like Sass says, it's all a bit of a secret. Immediately I went to ring my dad. I was like, Dad, it's out, done it, we've been selected. And then Sparky's like, I don't think you're meant to be ringing me again, mate. I accidentally rang Sparky back, having him just tell me not to tell anyone. Oh, that was a bit awkward, but I'm sure he understood.
I think all my 3 Olympics have really different characters and reasons they were special. They were harder and stuff, and definitely London was so it was just amazing to be in our hometown. We were all living in Weymouth at that point in time. We were in our hometown. We had we actually had neighbours and stuff because we were living there that were getting involved, and all our family could come. Beijing, it was only my mum and dad came. In London, my sort of whole village from home came down for our medal day. Me and Stewie's final day was the same, and we were on all watched our podium stuff, and we all had a big party in Weymouth after. And those sort of moments are really special, having people sort of from your Oppie squad just turn up randomly in Weymouth to have a beer with you, and you haven't seen them since youth squad or Oppie squad days. And
must have had it was a pre-bar.
It's a special time, London, yeah.
And with in terms of that, so you've been told you're on the team, and then is the next thing you've got to do is it up to London to for the official you're in the team, or what was the kind of rollout from there in terms of press engagements and becoming Team GB rather than British Sailing Team sort of stuff?
I think all times there's been a bit of a gap actually for me, maybe a week or 2 weeks and stuff, just to get it all organised and rolled out. I think most times the sailing team have been the earliest selected team, so we're the first athletes to get selected. We have been the first athletes to get selected for the games, so they want to make in terms of the British Sailing Team and in terms of Team GB, it's a big deal. They want it's the start of the year, the build-up year coming, and so it's kind of they want to make a bit of an impact with it. So it's always been it's been an event, like a press event, a launch event, and it's been kind of really special from that point of view. And so we go, I think all 3 times it's been up in London. It's a Team GB event, so it's the first time you come under that Team GB umbrella. You're not in British Sailing Team clothes anymore and logos, you're in Team GB logo, and you get your first tracksuit, and the chef de mission gives you this beautiful letter that says congratulations, you've been selected. And it's just one of those moments of big deep breath, wow, it's kind of the first hurdle. It's not the event, but getting selected, you can't go to games, you can't win medals at games unless you get selected, and it just feels like a big moment to take in and sort of breathe, relax, enjoy it, and then think about the next mountain that you've got to climb in the sort of following months.
How about you, Steve? For this time, what did you do in terms of launch? Did you do some stuff, some photo shoots down this way? Because again, you were the first team, weren't you?
Yeah, so this time we were selected in the first group. So there's quite a few of us, and we all went down to Rockley Park in Poole. I think they hosted the event for us, and some cool photos, lots of media. Like Sass says, your new Adidas trackie, which is always exciting. It's just good fun day. You're under that Team GB umbrella. Everyone's walking around with the same kit on. There's a real sense of team already feel about it, and it's just the start of exciting things to come, really.
And there's something that feels really different about it. It's the first time like a lot of people, you can finally let your guard down a bit about being selected. You know, like you've often been in a trials process against other teammates and stuff, and you know, that's quite intense. They're often people you've sailed against for 20 or 10 years, and you are sort of friends with them, but at the same time you're in this battle with them to win the selections, and that sort of brings a bit of politics, I guess, and people are friends with different people and all this kind of stuff in the team. And I think when you get announced as a team, finally that can all fall away, and you're all kind of there as your sailors in your disciplines, working together as a team that's going to the Olympics, and you don't have to have any of this kind of I guess barriers that might have been there in place for maybe 5 months of trials process and stuff. And it kind of just feels quite a nice, relaxed, positive environment.
Cool. So it's sort of like a massive celebration, big relief, and a really shiny new tracksuit, which sounds pretty exciting as well. Yeah. So yeah, pretty close a winner. And I suppose after that, then someone go, right, get back to training. Is that what happens from there? Like, you've been selected, off and away. That next bit up to the games, is that, do you tell me everything going to turbocharge, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a turning point, because up until then, really, your main primary goal was to get selected. So you've been building literally for 3 years to that point. And then obviously once you've been selected, then you've been thinking about the Olympics in the big picture, but you've really got to think about it now. That's the next target. And, you need the time to put the goals in place to get there. And actually we made a mistake in the 2012 cycle, me and Luke. We'd had quite a busy winter, like I say, World Championships in Australia, just got selected at the beginning of January, and then we went straight to Miami for the Miami World Cup Regatta. And we were still excited. We were still almost celebrating. We hadn't really sat down and made the plan up until the Olympics. And we got to start line, and we started sailing terribly, and it was like, oh God, what's going wrong here? There's something not right. We've just been selected and we're not sailing very well. And our coach at the time quite rightly said, he's like, lads, stop. Let's go home. Let's make the plan for the year, for these next 8 months up until the Olympics. And then let's engage when we next come to go sailing, and, really get involved with the program, and make sure performance is at the heart of everything. And there'll be times when you have fun on the way, but let's make sure that the performance side of things is really organized and taken care of. So yeah, so once you're selected, it is quite a it's a milestone, and then you've basically got to rewrite the program, which is funny this time around.
Yeah,
because obviously we're more aware of that, and we have written the program, but obviously we got this 12-meter high hurdle in the form of coronavirus, which has completely stopped us in our tracks. So yeah, it's an interesting time. I mean, I'm sure when things become a bit more apparent on what, lockdown things and stuff like that, we'll get back to the drawing board, if you like, and really plot out the route to get us to the Olympics in best shape.
Right.
And that final 8 months is so different, or final year once you're selected is so different to how you've ever sort of planned, or how you've planned your campaign before. You suddenly you're the sailors that are going to the games. You're selected. You don't have to worry about trials anymore. All this sort of energy and focus of all the specialists and coaching is on you, and it's kind of like a totally alien thing. You haven't had all this attention before, and you haven't had all this resource before, and the date is, it's the 12th of August 2012, or it's the 18th of August 2016. You have the exact date where you need to perform in your mind, and you can just have like a month countdown, and it kind of, the performances in that final 8 months, as long as they're building to that date in August, or I think this time in 2021 it's July, don't matter, as long as they're all building and ticking off the stuff of your list. And it's a really weird thing to be okay with that maybe your ultimate regatta performance won't be first or a medal zone, but in that regatta you did a load of processes that you need to get done, for the games. And it's kind of it's a different mental approach that you might have been having for the whole of your campaign to that point, where you always have to keep performing to prove that you're the one to be selected.
Yeah, so you suddenly shift from being very outcome focused to totally process focused, so you get the right outcome when it matters.
Yeah,
that's got a bit of a shift, isn't it? So
we found that as well. Oh, sorry, sir.
Yeah, there you go.
Found with that as well that it's always good to have a practice peak event, if you like, on that, isn't it? So like you say, you get everything's in line to the Olympics, but actually, what happens if you put everything in line and you get to the Olympics and don't perform? You know that something could have been better. So it's always good to have. Well, certainly we've found throughout history is a little practice peak event where you do put your line on the table. This is your Olympic medal that you're racing for, and hopefully from this we'll learn what we could have done better, and then we're going to do that at the Olympics.
Yes, test it out first, and then see what happens.
A little bit, yeah.
So you kind of suddenly you've got all this resource, like everyone's focused on you, getting supported all the way. And then you suddenly switch into like actually being in the games bit, so like building up to that open ceremony. You then like ushered, because I'm guessing that's up to this stage you've been living, especially for 2012, been living at home and like traveling to training. When do you suddenly get shifted into, right, we're in the camp, this is it, you're not allowed out this building? Like what happens there?
Actually, one of the really important events on the build up, which isn't quite in the final build up, but it's when you go and get all your kit. And so basically you go, it's been at the NEC in Birmingham for the last few times, and you basically go and you have a booking slot, you all go as a team, and Team GB have done this amazing, they sort of know that it's this amazing part of your journey, going as Team GB and getting your Olympic tracksuit, getting the, it's all kind of, you have all these bits of paper that this would be your podium tracksuit, this is your opening ceremony outfit, and you try it all on, you get your sizes, and all these amazing volunteers are all helping you do it. And that is, every time, that has been like a really special, really fun day, and a really special day of being part of Team GB. And I think probably all 3 times was like at about 2.5 months out from the games, and it felt like, okay, this is real now. This is switch up, no more joking. Now everything's counting. Every gym session is counting. All those kind of things that are like, wow, I'm wearing the same tracksuit as Bradley Wiggins, as all these people, and I'm a member of Team GB. It feels really like a really special day.
Pretty much the most diverse wardrobe you'll ever see. There's some shapes and size of athletes that go through that process.
I can imagine, yeah, if you're got everyone sort of from like kind of absolutely massive people to quite small people, everything in between. There we go.
There it is.
Look at that.
Podium 2016.
Look at that.
She sleeps in that.
Well, yeah, that's it. That's what's on hand in lockdown. So when do you go into? So you've got your super diverse wardrobe. Like, when are you kind of like into camp, so to speak? Like, when are you in Olympic mode and that sort of stuff in the bubble?
Yeah, it's a few weeks before usually. It's always. I actually can't remember, but it's very different in Weymouth because we all live there. So even if we weren't there, we were still there almost. But I remember Spark in London making sure we were there for certain times, training. We wanted to be there anyway. We wanted to be on the home waters and practicing, and as driven athletes and sailors, we just want to go out. We want to do more. We want to keep practicing. We want to learn. And actually, there's something the team put in place, which is really useful in my opinion, is actually making sure that we do get away for a couple of days to completely switch off, so we don't burn into the ground basically. And the team have done that in the past, and then the next time you go back to the venue, it's changed a little bit. There's a few more things around, nice little things like Team GB and like duvets and things like that, just so it makes it feel a little bit extra special. And then you are very, very much in what Sas was talking about, that process-driven routines. And you get up and you have your breakfast and you do your stretching and you go out on the water at this time and you come in at that time, and you know, you're in the zone there, and that's kind of you there, and you just run that through all the way to the point you hit that slipway in the last race.
But it's something that's hugely different about the games that you don't realize. The first experience you get of it is at a test event, and maybe like if people have been to Youth Worlds and stuff, I didn't actually ever go to Youth Worlds, maybe it's the same, is that you, instead of, normally you're in the boat park 470s, fins, winds, you know, we never see the windsurfers, they're all too super cool to be anywhere near us dinghy sailors, and actually suddenly then at the Olympics you're in your Team GB boat park, and you know, you're all lined up, that, you know, there's Ben, there's Luke and Stu, there's me, there's the laser, the radial, and you're all very much Team GB, and it kind of like totally changes that rhythm of your usual prep that you would have. Like a regatta, it can be like it's suddenly like really quiet, there's not really the boat park buzz, and suddenly if the 470 flag comes down, you know, like all the energy starts around you, so you know you need to start hyping up. You're all on different course areas, so the boat park can be quite quiet and doesn't have that same vibe as it does if you're in your 470 bubble, but at the same time it's really special, and it's kind of really has a sense of occasion to it, I guess, because, you know, like in London, me and Han every day were polishing our boat next to Ben Ainsley, and that's quite a big deal at an Olympics, and you suddenly say, right, this guy's on my team, I'm on his team, I need to step this up and not muck this up, because Ben Ainsley's our guy and I'm on the same team as him, and you do get that sense of occasion and like stepping up and making it happen on your race days.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, so I suppose it's suddenly that it all comes into focus even more suddenly when you're in that situation.
And then it's really important though to still have your same identity with that and not lose how you do stuff. And I think like Luke and Stu probably have, you know, like got in London, they were kind of the young excited kids, and that was kind of, I guess, their way of doing things and how they got psyched up and how they was, and it's really easy in that environment. It comes a bit, you could get too serious and not be who you need to be in, especially I think probably in the teams maybe, to deliver. So you still need to sort of get it, step up, but also have your own identity that is always yours, that is your process to delivering when you race. I don't know what Stuart thinks about that. Yeah,
definitely. I think, like you say, me and Luke were very excited and young, if you like. You know, we took that on a little bit, but at the same time, we did have a very, very important switch at the point, and it was actually when we took the cover off the boat, where we were serious and we did engage in that and make sure that part of, again, back to the perform, you know, making sure we are doing the right things, even though when we're walking to Dinghy Park and we're seeing all our mates and, like I says, our teammates, it's all very relaxed and chilled out, but once the switch is switched on, then it is on.
Cool. Opening ceremony. Like, you know, I only watched it on TV and I got really excited. What's it like being at one?
I got two very, very vivid memories of the Olympics. Neither of them were on the water in a boat. But my first one was that feeling. So yeah, the opening ceremony, the 470 started quite late in the Olympic week, so we decided that we could actually afford the stress, if you like, of getting up to London, big late night out, standing up all evening, and so we decided to do that. And I will never ever forget the feeling of being in the tunnel at the Olympic Park with the whole of Team GB, all in our nice outfits, and we're about to walk out into the stage, into the crowd. You can just see the lights at the end of the tunnel. It's quite dark, and the energy was incredible. And all the crowd are cheering, and you can hear them, and you're about to walk out, and literally that feeling of walking out, the crowd's going crazy. You're like, oh, I'm a sailor from Rochdale. What's happening? Am I lost? Is this a dream?
You described that so well. I think Beijing was my first Olympics, and like actually as a sailing team we haven't gone to many of the opening ceremonies, and my coach for Beijing happened to be Stewie's coach for London. He's kind of a very upbeat, very American guy, and he was kind of like this. It was kind of a bit of a deal breaker for him being our coach. He's like, that you go to the opening ceremony. He thought it was such an important part of the Olympic experience, and soaking up and understanding what you're part of, that added to performance. And so he was really keen that he's really keen that all his athletes always go to an opening ceremony. And I was lucky enough that always my event was late enough so that it didn't, I wasn't within 72 hours competing, so I could go. And it feels like just some really special moments of history, I guess, that we're part of. It was wicked.
Cool. Is that the kind of the cutoff? That's 72 hours, is it? Like if you're 72 hours in, do you reckon that's the magic number?
It's kind of exhausting in terms of the fact you spend probably 8 hours on your feet, like you march and all the prep of it, you're marching around and stuff, and then so you're kind of queued up for hours to go in, and it's quite it's adrenaline, it's these kind of adrenaline spikes and stuff, and when you have that kind of feeling or something, that's exhausting. And you definitely, I guess especially in London, we were in Weymouth and it was in London, so you could actually logistically you couldn't do it if you were competing too close anyway, and you'd be knackered. You'd be absolutely knackered. It's an emotional thing, yeah.
Pretty daunting when you got Anthony Joshua stood behind you for 4 hours. I can tell you that. Gee, looking up at him. What's he gonna do?
And you get loads of new Team GB friends like Anthony Joshua, who then a few years later
best friends
ran up to Heathrow Airport going, "Hi, it's me," and he's just like, "Who?" And I was like, I was like, "Oh, this is too embarrassing."
Right.
He had I wasn't his new Team GB friend, but he was mine.
He was just too starstruck, I reckon. He probably must.
That was definitely
that night.
I think it's like
that night totally flamed it in front of Sas today at the airport. Really looked like an idiot.
Yeah.
Didn't know what to say.
He's probably having the same discussion. Yeah.
That's it. Exactly the same discussion is happening now. Cool. So you could have said then you get back into camp. And Sas, you've already talked about this bit, like the boat part being different, but yeah, Olympic regattas, I'm guessing, are wildly different to a World Championships or anything else. So what's the regatta like?
Yeah, it's kind of, it has this weird quietness about it in Olympics because your fleets are so much smaller. You don't have to battle to launch like you normally do in a boat park. You haven't got to have a fight with. And sometimes some regattas you feel exhausted by the time you get in the water because you've had to have a fight with some Italians and a French to get to the slipway, to get your trolley out and stuff. But actually the Olympics is all that bit is just so easy and so quick and simple. And the 470 we go to having a fleet for 470 women, we have a fleet of 20, and so the race, just the whole thing is a lot calmer and less crowded from that point of view, and I feel like you have a lot around the regatta. You have a lot more time to think about all the elements about what course area you're going to be on that day, and you sort of have, you get your forecasts in and you have sort of more time to start thinking about what the weather might be doing, and so then what your strategy might be, and you've thought a lot about your competitors and their strengths and weaknesses and where you need to sort of shadow them maybe, and where you can be excellent and where you need to let rip because of your super strengths, and it feels
let rip.
It just do you know what I mean though, Stuart? It feels
really
the racing is obviously super intense, but at the same time there's a quietness about it, especially in London, I think, because we felt so far offshore.
Yeah, I think, I agree completely. It's a weird one. For me, it's a fun regatta. Like, it's good fun. And the reason I think it's like that is because for the 4 years or 8 years, or even since she was a nipper building up to that, you've always been working on things. And for me, well, for us, me and Luke in London, and hopefully where me and Dill get to for this Games, is you've done all the preparation. You've done your fitness, you've done your boat speed, you're sharp with your tactics, your boat handling is up to scratch. now it's go and deliver. Let's just go and have fun and deliver what we've worked so hard for. And that's definitely the approach me and Luke took, and we absolutely loved it. We loved it, all of it. We were fast, we were smart, we were, you know, obviously not quite fast enough, but the point is, it felt like a good fun regatta, which was, you know, unique in that sense. It is different for us, if that was.
And do you think it's a bit odd, but how do you, because you're going through the selection process and go to Worlds and Europeans and that kind of stuff, because the regatta is a bit different, how do you prep for that regatta? Is there anything you do in training to be ready for the regatta like that, or is it just is that all the experience you've had up to there just allows you to adapt to it?
I think preparation, you know, you have to be so prepared. That's kind of the ultimate difference. And in London, I think we were, because it was a home games, we had such a luxury about equipment and all that kind of stuff with London. Like basically every single piece of equipment we owned was in London, and we were all over that kind of side from a boat prep side and what equipment we're using. That is different in Beijing or Rio or Tokyo games, because you're limited on container space and you have to have other bits of equipment at World Championships and stuff. So for the London games, it just felt you just had this, you had this really awesome feeling of completeness, I guess, knowing exactly where you were with equipment and stuff. And
even after your race mask got blown down the dinghy path. Yeah.
So thanks. We actually had a horrendous day. It was actually in the 5 days post getting selected, not announced. So we knew we were selected, and so we were kind of having a bit of 5 days of snooze. It was terrible weather in Weymouth, and we were watching. Actually, Hannah is a big Harry Potter fan, and she was kind of disgusted that I'd never watched Harry Potter. And so we were autumn, stormy days. There's nothing to be doing apart from sitting on your couch and watching Harry Potter. And we had left our boat inside.
That's women sailing for you. Anyway, carry on.
We had left our boat inside a hangar, and then people were busy doing stuff, and someone had taken our boat outside a hangar and left it there in a force 10 gale. And I had like 10 missed phone calls on my phone the next morning, like Saskia, your boat is blown across. And I was like, no, my boat's in a hangar. But chill out. And then I get there, and my boat was ice-white, having blown 200 yards across the car park at Weymouth. And anyway, that was a dark day.
Sorry to bring that one up, Seth. Yeah,
I'm not sure I've recovered from it, to be honest, Stuart.
Well, you did. You did, yeah. By Rio.
We bent it straight. Won a World Championships and a silver medal with it.
Nice.
It's not how you want to prepare for your Olympics, though. Thank God that was a year out, not a week before the games.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so the regattas, you know, you're fully prepped. The regatta's a bit different. Medal races, like feelings and how to keep yourself calm in an Olympic medal race.
We had a nightmare in London, didn't we? I'll talk about London. You talk about Rio, because that was different. So we basically, both teams, us, me and Luke and Aaron Sass, were both in a gold medal, silver medal shootout in the medal race. So pretty tense. In fact, I'm a really good sleeper normally, but on those evenings I didn't sleep very well at all, which just shows how stressful it must have been. No, but we had a full day of no wind, and we basically had to be on edge, ready to go racing at any point. You know, 30-minute deflag, for a whole day, and you know, really tricky situation. Basically, the wind didn't fill in the whole day, so we were, oh god, you know, we just want to get going, want to get it over and done with. This is tense. We had the Kate Middleton, the princess, outside the container jotting around, and we're in the container with our game speakers on, you know, getting ready to go racing, and all sorts of weird distractions and surreal events. But yeah, eventually the next day we did go down, even though the forecast was similar, and eventually managed to get out racing. And yeah, not probably an underspoken about what would you call it, like opportunity, if you like. You know, we're both in the gold medal fight out, and both teams unfortunately missed out, and that certainly got overshadowed a little bit by, you know, coming away with silver medals. But certainly it's one of mine. Me and Luke talk about this in the bar on several occasions. Like we actually we're so happy that we won a medal that we lost a bit of the fight to go and win the gold. So yeah, that's another topic. But yeah, bit of a weird one. That's your medal race.
I had sleepless nights about that day, like fully like chop suey racing in my head and what we did wrong. And I totally agree with Stuart that, you know, like neither of us executed on that day. And I guess in terms of my sort of career, if I had won a gold medal that day, I don't think I probably might not have carried on to Rio. So it's kind of hard, but at the same time, being a London gold medalist would have been pretty cool. And it hurts. And we made mistakes that day, and it's annoying.
Yeah.
And I don't have a particularly fond memory of my Rio medal race either. Me and Han had got ourselves 20 points clear, which is dreamy, you know. And there was a scrap for second to fourth was already tight, and we were 20 points clear, which Giles was 21 points clear, which means that he could have got disqualified in that medal race and still won, whereas we couldn't get disqualified. And if we got disqualified and the Kiwis had won it, we would have come second, and that would have felt like quite the anticlimax. And
like London all over.
So we actually had the same as Stewie in London. We had a day of no wind, floating around, like all that hype, all that tension to go and do your final race, and it was going to be the final race of my career and all this kind of stuff, and it didn't happen. Like zero wind turned up, and then it was actually quite good because Han that day was really exhausted. She was a bit of a she wasn't ready to finish that day. She was knackered from the week. So we sort of had a quiet evening, and then we came back the next day to do it all again. And it was great. That was actually the final day of everyone that day. There was 3 medal races that day. We were the first. And it was quite windy. We started on port behind the fleet. Basically, we just didn't get involved with anyone. We didn't want to have a crash. We didn't want to be over the line. We didn't, you know, you just sort of in your head, you start running through all these disaster scenarios that if you had a port and starboard and someone clipped your shroud and your mast fell down, you know, like all these things that are kind of 1 in a million kind of things that could happen in epic waves. Suddenly we were running through them all, and they were kind of like, yeah, that could happen. And we basically sailed around in a bubble on our own at the back of the fleet in a really underwhelming medal race.
Really took it by the...
Yeah, and I feel sad about that. I wish we'd won by a leg and gone across the finish line and like, woo! So that wasn't quite how it finished, but we did. Obviously, we just played it super safe.
You had won by a leg by being 20 points clear, Sas.
Yeah,
that's what everyone understands.
Just some really confused TV viewers.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. I think we came 8th, and we were all like, yeah. Like, we just came 8th. But then
going back to your last race, you thought that was going to be your last race. Don't you remember crewing for me in a Merlin Rocket?
Actually, yeah, I am actually the Bithell's Merlin Rocket crew. I'm better known as that these days.
Standing.
Wednesday night racing in Poole. Still on Bithell.
Don't give me that. Don't give me that. I'm retiring. This is my last race. We got 20 years of racing go.
And then immediately after that, you get the blackboard goes up, and it says, you know, GBR came 8 points, or no, 16 points. So and the Kiwis didn't come first. I don't know where they came anyway. So we were all good. And then it was cool.
Did you sail to the beach, didn't you? I remember seeing
we had a video. We flipped the rudder up, sailed into the beach, and the fans went wild.
Your mum and dad.
Yeah, it was great.
Very cool. It doesn't matter then if the boat gets blown across the boat park. You're like,
we had some actually should do a big shout out, thank you to Dylan and Alan's dad, Mr. Sign and Mr. Fletcher, who sacrificed dry clothes and maybe a phone to rescue our boat.
We're going to talk a bit about podiums in a minute and what the medal ceremony's like. But are you ready for a quiz?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, ready for a quiz. Okay, so
wait, for clarity, it's me against Sass, women against men overall, right?
That's it. Yeah. So currently, it's 3-2 to the men at the moment. 3-2 to the men. So this could draw it even or go ahead.
History, Stewie.
The lack of buzzers, we're going to go hand up.
Okay, hand up, Stewie. That's a strict rule. No interrupting.
Okay. And we're going mostly Olympic themed, with a little bit of with one dedicated sailing question in there. Okay, so
times as much Olympic experience as me, though. Is that going to be considered in the? No.
I mean, last week I got a question totally wrong. I had to go to the TMO, so it's pretty loose, this whole thing. Right. When was the Olympics last in Tokyo? Sass.
68. No, wrong.
I'm gonna let Stu steal.
64.
Yeah.
64, correct.
I even knew I was wrong when I said it. Damn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got that because those advertising on the old.
Okay, right. So that's one Stu at the moment. Okay. Right before lottery funding came in 1996, the Atlanta Olympics, how many gold medals did Team GB win? Sass.
1.
I'll give you a bonus point if you say who got it.
Oh, it's Pinson and Redgrave.
Oh, no bonus point there. Great work. Yeah, we had 2 silvers in sailing, but it was only one gold medal.
Any more points available for that? I can get more points on that question, I think.
Now we're also getting a slight disadvantage because of our ages now. I don't remember that.
I'm old.
It was my first Olympics, I remember.
Okay, here we go. Right.
Youth.
Let's go back. Okay, 2012 Olympics. What was the name of the mascot?
It wasn't Dave.
I feel we know this, Stewie.
I mean, you were both there. And I feel like you were handed one probably while you're on the podium, weren't you?
It was like a not quite a Pikachu or something kind of like that.
I mean, you've basically described every mascot in the history of the Olympics.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
The answer is Wenlock.
Oh, yeah.
Was it called?
Wenlock.
Oh, I wouldn't have remembered that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even have known that, in fact.
It was a strong name. Right, right. You ready for the boat-related one?
Okay.
Okay. No sailors have got this right so far. Okay.
Not even Phoebe Morrison?
No.
Oh.
No, didn't. He was gutted. Right. Okay, so on a dinghy, what is the only rope on a dinghy that's called a rope? Lots of sheets and lines. What's the only rope that's called a rope? Go on, Stuart.
Boat rope.
Correct answer. Go.
Little race on countback. Surely countback winners for the lads.
And I think. Right. Oh yeah. Here we go. Last one. This is a Paris-related one. Okay. 1900 Paris Olympics. Okay. Where was the sailing event held? Go on, Stu.
La Rochelle.
No.
Okay. Oh God. I feel this should be a sailing.
Paris Olympics.
So I don't think it was in Marseille, hey? I don't think.
Fucking, I know the answer. Was it
on the Seine?
It was.
No.
Which I think means you might steal it there, Sass. I think that's so we've drawn it level for the girls. There we go.
Oh no! That's from the bonus point.
Bonus point. There we go. Right. So here we go. podiums. What's it like?
I mean, it's pretty similar to the feeling I've got right now being Stuart.
Not quite as good.
Yeah, like second to that.
Yeah.
It is one of the most I get asked this question a lot, and I need to come up with a better answer, because it still takes my breath away. It still makes me speechless. It still gives me goosebumps thinking about it. And it's just, you know, like above, sort of first and foremost, all of this, like most of us that go to the games are actually like sports fans first and foremost, rather than, you know, we were sports fans from 6 or 8, and we all remember watching our first Olympics and those heroes that we had at those Olympics. And I vaguely remember watching 88, and I think like 92 was my Olympics that I remember watching, like Linford Christie, Sally Gunn, all these people, and I remember watching them get in the podium. And it's that sort of feeling, you know, anyone watches that moment and the anthem and the flag, you get those sort of feelings, those goosebumps, and a bit emotional. And basically you just have that in 100-fold when it's you on the podium. It's kind of just absolutely amazing. It lived up to everything that I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I'd be interested. I was saying that I had 2 very vivid memories. One was the opening ceremony, just about to walk out. The second one was definitely on the podium. And it was so special being on there and looking over, and your whole family's there with you. Your mum, your dad, your grandparent, only one left. My sister, who, you know, rarely comes to the sailing events, she was all there, and, you know, tears in their eyes, and really special moment, because I guess they've made sacrifices, and, you know, throughout their lives to get you there. And it's a bit of it's just it's not just for you, it's for everyone. No, I'll be interested, because the feeling I had in London was that very special. This is awesome, really good. And then you look left and you're like, kind of wish I was up there, you know. I didn't dream about being a silver medalist. I dreamed about being the best, you know. Which is what, you know, it'd be interesting to hear from Sass, you know, how having got a silver medal and then going winning a gold medal and actually being able to say, I'm the best, not second best, I'm the best. And I can only imagine that's, again, in my head, it's 10 times better. It's 10 times more impressive.
I guess like we both won our silver medals in similar ways, and that was that we felt like we lost a gold medal. You know, that you speak to some athletes and they are over the moon, they win the silver medal, and sort of battle to get silver, whereas how it both went down for both our teams is we felt like we lost a gold medal, and then within sort of 3 hours it was all reframed and we had to go and stand on the podium. And I don't know, you definitely remember that sort of heartbreak of it not being quite what you wanted it to be. And just not having any of that conflict in my head in Rio, just totally knowing that we went to do a job, and we absolutely nailed that job, and no sort of little niggling questions of, oh, we made that mistake, oh, we did a 720 then, or, you know, all those little niggles that I've got, that I still have about our London Olympics. You know, just unquestionably, we went to Rio, we nailed it, we won a gold medal.
See tears. Let's see tears. I want to see tears.
No, I haven't really got weepy on my podiums. I just always feel really smiley and, you know, super excited, like energetic.
Right now. Let it all out now.
I'm not going to make me cry, Stewie.
And so, how much do you both remember about the closing ceremony then?
It's similar to how Stewie said about the opening. There's just the energy in those kind of moments of like loads of people, really excited people. It is a bit tinged sometimes at the closing, because some of your friends haven't won medals that, you know, really went as you know, as favourites. Like example, in London, my boyfriend at the time went as the defending gold medalist, and he didn't win a medal, and so he was gutted. And you know, you're very close to a group of people, 15, 16 people, and some of you are on cloud 9 and some of you are absolutely gutted, and you know, good friends of yours don't want to be there, and so you feel but it's just a really joyful thing, an event.
So you're lucky there you got your new friend Auntie Joshua to...
Yeah, I mean, you just go on this mission with your phone and your camera, just trying to get as many pictures with as many of your like legends. And the one thing that's really cool about the Olympics, and I think especially the closing ceremony, is, you know, you're there with legends of sport, like, and it's a real leveler. You know, everyone's there as an Olympian, and everyone's kind of just like, yeah, getting involved with the party, and it's not kind of like, oh God, there's Auntie Joshua, or, you know, Mo, or Chris Hoy, or, you know, whoever it is. You're all there as, I get in the Team GB family, you really feel that, but actually across all the nations and stuff, you can, you know, you run up to Usain Bolt and get pictures with him and stuff, and he's kind of like, yeah, cool. And it's really awesome as a sports fan. And like, for this one moment,
we should maybe send you some photos to put on the end of this presentation with all the heroes. I'd go on with Sass and Kobe. That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember what was I going to say? The Team GB put on in the Olympic Village after the ceremony bit in the stadium, an actual party. And I remember trying to mix it up on the dance floor and giving it some yaldi. And then all these gymnastic people started doing backflips and stuff mid-dance routine. I'm like, got no chance here. I'm out.
That is a challenge, isn't it? Like, the worms.
I remember though, after the Olympic, there was some epic invites to parties for Olympic medalists, like the team, the medalists, some parties up in London, and we went as a we were like group, weren't we? Me, Luke, Sass, and Han, and Dempo was another medalist, and the big lads didn't come join in with us. They were way too cool. In fact, no, they went back to work. But yeah, I'll tell you, the Olympic medal in London was a really good currency at one point. We were straight in the nightclubs. We were there.
Are you still trying to use it now, Stewie?
No, it don't work anymore. I tried.
They're like, sorry.
Oh God, yeah.
That did happen. That's a true story. About 3 months after the game, Stu was still trying to use it, and the bouncer was like, no.
No, yeah. Like, but this is more valuable than a Bitcoin, mate. Look, it's real. It's
It's like back of the queue, rather. Where are you from again?
Not Rotherham.
Rochdale.
Rochdale. Back of the queue, Rochdale.
Thank you very much, both of you, for your time. I hope the rest of the lockdown goes well for you.
No worries.